Well, a really pretty glow this morning on the cliffs and trees behind me, and I found a really nice subject. This curving pine tree that went up through with color on both sides, and I shot it with both my 300 and my 450 with both Velvy and Provia. Really still conditions, so it was really nice to work here. And so another beautiful morning down in the washes on the Upper East Side of Zion. So now I'm ready to pack up and keep on moving, see what else I can find. Well, another really pretty scene here. It's actually a spot that I'd worked years ago, and a completely different take on it now. Just this beautiful little sort of crack in the wall here, and some nice colored leaves framing it, and sort of the mystery of what's going on back behind where you can't see through the little slot there. So I kind of like that one. It kind of maybe tells a little story, and again, just beautiful, calm, still conditions here, and really pretty reflected light. So I probably haven't moved 200 feet from where I started this morning. So it's been a really productive area, very nice. And just going to keep moving while the conditions are beautiful like this and see what else I can find. So the friends I'm photographing with this week are both shooting digital, and it makes it really tough to be shooting large format at the same time that my friends are shooting digital, because they work so much more quickly and cover a lot more ground. But I want to be with them photographing. I don't just want to go off by myself. So I've done some of both, though. I spent a little time by myself walking alone and having some time. But there's some places where it's worked out okay, where there's been enough subjects that they've wanted to, spend enough time to work an area in the same kind of time frame that it takes me to do the large format. So that's been really nice, and I was a little worried about that going into this trip, knowing that we'd sort of be mismatched that way with digital and film. But it's really worked out well so far, so I'm very pleased. And I look forward to spending more time with these guys and exploring this beautiful area of Zion and beyond as I continue my fall 2019 Southwest trip. Well, it's been a really special day here in the washes on the upper plateau of Zion. And this afternoon, it's just been beautiful, calm winds, really nice, peaceful, nice reflected light. And I had about, I'd say, 4 different subjects that I've worked on this afternoon. And so it's just been a super day, and really excited about what I was able to find and work on today. So tomorrow, I think I'll be right back here in the washes for the morning light. And then we're headed to Kanab after that for some hiking in a different part of the state. So you can look forward to those stories. But for now, it's time to pack up and get on out of here. Have to load some film tonight, and I really look forward to what tomorrow will bring. We'll see you then.
This was really a terrific day of photography in the East Side washes. The light was amazing, and it was pretty calm all day, and I finally started to make some of my favorite pictures of the trip. It was nice to wander the washes both in the morning and the afternoon and see how the light changed and just get that beautiful, soft, reflected light and gorgeous conditions. So I had a lot of fun today, and let's take a look at some of those pictures now. The reflected light on this scene was just stunning and provided a nice directional feel for the light. I worked on a couple different compositions here, trying to figure out how to manage the hillside beyond. I've worked on subjects like this before, and I'm very excited about them at the beginning, but then I find that the hillside beyond and above just ends up being too distracting. So I knew that going in and was a little worried about it, but by cropping just a little bit of the top of the tree, I was able to control that, I think, and I think the corners work pretty well, and that's a little sort of off-center asymmetrical balance. Nice rocks at the bottom to anchor it, and just beautiful color on the sides. And of course you can't beat that glow. So this is really one of my favorites. So here's an image that has something that a lot of us strive for, I think, in landscape photography, and that is a bit of mystery. There's sort of a crevice or a passageway here, and you don't know where it goes, you don't know what's back in there, and so that's a little mysterious, and that's sort of interesting. And I arranged the rocks at the bottom to look like stair steps that sort of lead you up in to that crevice. And there, it goes a little cool in the shadows back there, so you've got a little bit of that warm, cool contrast going on, which is always nice when you can get it. And then just a little bit of the fall color on the sides to suggest the season. So I really like this image. So here's an image that turned out to be the first of several of the same type. And that is the forest sort of reclaiming its own as a fallen tree or a fallen branch or a fallen log sort of returns to nourish the forest that gave it life in the first place. And I didn't set out looking for this type of subject matter, but several of them presented themselves on this trip, so it was really interesting to see. And I like the way the downed pine tree leads you into this image, and then just sort of the riot of color. There's a lot of shapes and texture here to look at, and I really enjoy this one. Now here's the second of the same kind of image that I just described. This is another dead branch. It almost looks like one of those walking trees that we talk about sometimes. And again, foliage sort of growing up around it and sort of overtaking this dead branch. And I like the way the light was falling on it, and it just sort of, the branch stands out from the pretty red colors behind it. Now the film went really blue here because just the open sky, but I sort of took that blue out. It was too much, it didn't look natural, and I think this is a nice arrangement here, and certainly very representative of the kind of things I found just like this in the Zion washes. Now what attracted me to this scene initially was these sort of peach-colored leaves that were set right up against kind of the peach-colored sandstone wall. And the Velvia film has sort of punched up the contrast and made it look more dramatic than it was to the eye. But it was kind of a soft palette, and I was a little concerned that the leaves might just sort of blend in to the sandstone wall, but that also could be a good thing. So I thought this one was a nice arrangement, and as it turns out, Ben Horn worked on a composition just a little to the right outside this frame in one of his videos, and I'll link to that here so you can see how people interpreted a scene differently within feet of each other. And finally, who can resist some nice cracked mud? I worked on a couple of cracked mud images on this trip, and I thought this one was pretty interesting because of that shape that ended up in the lower left-hand corner. And of course there were some leaves that had fallen down, and so you get that nice color contrast. It was a challenge trying to figure out exactly where to put the edges and corners. That's always the case, to try to make an agreeable arrangement, but a little bit of cropping and camera moving got me there. So this one's okay, and it's always fun to add a cracked mud image to your portfolio from Zion. Well, it was a wonderfully full day of photography again on the east side washes of Zion. So many great setups and subjects to work on. The light was beautiful, and it was nice to be photographing with my friends. So we'll be back in the washes again tomorrow morning, and then heading out for Kanab after that. So please tune in for that, and I look forward to sharing those stories with you. We'll see you on the next one.